In this video, I'm going to spend an entire day by myself trying to improve my jump technique, and then I'll call in an expert to give me some advice on what I should be doing, and we'll compare the results.
Whoa! Whoa!
This year, I want to spend some more time riding jumps. For the past 5 years, I've really been prioritising my fitness and cornering as I've been wanting to improve my racing. But that competitive interest is now gone, and I just want to have fun on my bike. So putting some focus back on jumps is what I'm going to do. I'll be riding 2 jump trails located in my hometown of Squamish, BC, Mickey's Magic and Slippery Salmon. So let's see where I'm at with my first lap down Slippery Salmon of the year.
Whoa! Ah! Oh! That was not good.
My judgment of speed was way off, I felt uncomfortable on the jumps, and more importantly, I wasn't enjoying myself. Now, I used to be a pretty solid jumper, but where has that skill gone, and can I remember what I need to do by myself? I committed to riding nothing but jumps for a whole day, and this session ended up going on for 7 hours.
Not gonna lie, Joel. Things starting to stiffen up. Can you ride bikes for too long? Maybe, Joel says.
Starting off on this hip jump on Mickey's Magic, I hit it again and again, over and over. Watching it back on camera, I figured I wasn't getting the pop right, and this was the biggest indicator of me being out of practice. But the main thing was that my speed was just nowhere near right. For jumps, I do find it a lot easier to follow someone that already knows what they're doing, because I really struggle to figure it out by myself. After the hip jump, I looked at this tricky section on Slippery Salmon. The jumps are pretty tight, so getting the right speed and pump in between each jump is key. Last year, I definitely figured it out a lot better, but something just wasn't giving me the confidence on this day. It does sound a bit pathetic, but there was this soft bit of dirt right where you corner on the way in, and it just put me off every time. I was also scared of hitting this hip jump properly at the end, and I'm going to put that down to the confidence in my technique. As I always say in these videos, fear comes from not knowing what's going to happen. And since it had been so long since I had the belief that I knew how to compress the bike into a takeoff, fear was now taking over. Despite rolling at this over and over again, nothing was progressing, and I was starting to get pretty down on myself.
Terrible. That was terrible, Joel.
And this is the perfect demonstration that practice is needed to dial things in after you've learned them. After throwing in the towel on getting this section right, I headed back to Mickey's Magic to try some steeper lips. There are 3 tabletops here that fit that criteria, and in order to do them well, you need to really compress the bike and pop out of the top. And the first few laps went about as well as I should have expected.
If someone does have a number for a lawyer, please let me know.
Perhaps I should take into account that the bikes I used to ride were a lot shorter when I was in the golden age of my jumping skill. But no one else seems to be complaining about that, so neither should I. The wind started to get up while we were shooting this bit, and if there's something I truly hate, it's wind.
Ugh!
The amount of times I've been blown off my bike and injured myself is something I'm never going to get away from. So I didn't feel like I could have progressed as I would have liked to, because I needed to pop out of the lip a lot more and get way higher than what I was doing. My speed was way off as well, as I just couldn't get the right feel for it. As we moved over to the end of Slippery Salmon, I was starting to get tired. It had been about 5 hours of me practicing jumps at this point, and my energy was falling off the side of the planet. I clearly had forgotten everything that I had been told about getting my bike up in the air. There was no pulling up on the handlebars, and all I was doing was riding off the end of the lip. When it came to the end of the day, it had been 7 hours of riding, and I was totally done. You can even see in the last run of the day where I strapped on the GoPro that I was pretty much a mess and not gaining anything from what I was doing. Despite an entire day dedicated to improving the skill, I'd really achieved nothing. Knowing what the problems were and also knowing what I needed to do just weren't enough. I wasn't building that connection between them. No problem was being solved. This was bad practice. Despite putting the time in here, it didn't really matter because I was lost with what I was doing. Now, the best way to overcome this is to work on the problem with somebody else. So I called up my buddy Matt.
This is my good friend, Matt Bolton. Local legend, trail builder extraordinaire, part-time freerider. Part-time. That's a good name for you, actually. Part-time freerider.
Matt is a pretty accomplished local rider, and while he doesn't ride professionally, I think we can all agree he can probably ride any pro line that he's put in front of. He also builds pro lines in his free time, so if someone's going to be able to figure this out, it's him. Plus, he's just an all-round nice guy, and you should definitely follow him on Instagram, where the link is in the description below. You can clearly see the difference in his level of riding compared to mine. From watching one jump, he could tell that I wasn't preloading enough. Matt was also smart enough to pull out his phone and start recording what I was doing so that he could show me after I tried each jump.
Coming in.
Yeah.
Slight load at the bottom, which is what you want. You kind of want to push, maybe the front first, push that fork in, and then let your back end push in as well.
Okay.
And then right when you get to the top,
Yeah.
you just kind of ride off. There's no pop there.
Yes.
So load, and then when you're right at the top, you kind of want to pull back like you're J-hopping, and that's what will give you some height.
So basically, hop at the end of the lip.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And go faster so you don't nose case like this.
With Matt's tips about popping done, I needed to remember how to figure out the speed better. We headed down to that same section of Mickey's Magic to work on the steeper tabletops. Have you been working out?
Trail building, CrossFit. So you can see we've got a nice kind of a U shape here. And I'm just going to show Paul where he can pump to gain speed and kind of get that pop. So you're going to land, you want to aim for the top of the landing, obviously. And you're going to come down, you get this nice transition here, and you want to push through it. Yeah, it's kind of like one fluid motion. It's like the best way to learn to jump. I always tell people go ride a pump track. It's the exact same motion pumping as it is jumping.
Okay.
So come through, pump the bottom of the transition, get speed, come back. You also want to pump the bottom of the lip. So you'll also load here, pump through your arms and your legs, and your suspension will rebound, and then you can pop off the lip, and that's what will give you the height for the next jump.
With some better knowledge about pumping, I wanted to have a go at that larger tabletop. Once again, I just couldn't get my head around linking this section, and I was still struggling to really use the lip to fire me up and not just ride through the lip every time. This is probably the reason I wasn't feeling comfortable, but at least Matt was pointing me in a better direction than what I was doing before.
I'm that what?
Dude, you're the guy,
I am the YouTube guy. It's called influencing, Matt.
It's called pumping his ego.
We went back to Slippery Salmon to see if I could improve that final section.
My recommendation would be stay low on that one, get a nice pump,
Yeah.
and make sure you're carrying good speed.
By the end of this day, I had actually made some progress on technique and almost started to feel comfortable, which is a complete contrast compared to the day where I tried to figure it all out just by myself. And I'm going to take a few seconds here to announce my brand new range of merch, Part-Time Freerider. Designed by Adam Kramer, these t-shirts are for those of you that, like me, don't spend all their days sending it. Maybe the odd weekend, but we're part-time senders here. Click the link in the description below to pick one up today and send it out there on the trails. Just every once in a while, that is. As we watch Matt ride these jumps about 1,000 times better than me, and I watch my own technique, I'm actually pretty disappointed. Jumps aren't a strength of mine anymore, and it's not something that I've been trying to improve. So, I mean, what should I really expect? Nowadays, I'm not really that interested in developing my own techniques, and that's why I prefer to make videos helping other people. What I get out of mountain biking now might be totally different to you watching this, but I make this type of video so that I can share some of the advice from people that really know what they're talking about. I might continue to make a video like this from time to time, but these aren't the videos I enjoy making anymore. But I've got a bunch of fantastic series of videos coming up, which I'm really excited about. So if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, hit the button so you can catch my next upload. And if you enjoyed Matt sending it, then hit the like button. Cheers, punters. I'll see you next time.